Hello and welcome to another episode of the Executive Hub Show. My name is Mustafa Husseini, and today we're talking about melodies that heal and music's role in hospitals during surgery and after, and the healing power of music. Our aim and goal and vision with the Executive Hub Show is to invite successful guests that could share tips, strategies, and advice that you could use to get healthier, run your business, grow and scale, and the rest of it. My guest today is Dr. Alice Cash. Welcome, Alice.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here.
Likewise, I look forward to our conversation. I love music, and health is top of mind for me. So I look forward to this, and I believe it is a important topic for a lot of business owners as well. So let me do the proper introduction, and we're going to dive into an interesting conversation. Dr. Alice Cash is a visionary and a PhD in musicology who has turned her love for piano and passion for music into a pioneering career in music medicine. With years of teaching and research at the University of Louisville School of Medicine, she discovered the remarkable effects of music during surgery. This insight inspired her to invent a unique system of preloaded headphones that not only calm patients but also help reduce reliance on opioids and anesthesia. So, join us for this great conversation to learn more about this. Alice, how's your day so far?
It is great. It's very cold here and we're getting ready for snow.
Where about are you?
I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
Very nice. Very nice. So let's dive into it. I look forward to this conversation. What is your story?
Well, as you said, I started out as a pianist. I majored in piano performance. I got my bachelor's in piano performance and my master's in piano performance. And then I taught on the college level for about 13 years and had three daughters during that time. And in 1985, I decided I really needed to get a PhD if I was going to do the college teaching thing. So I was able to get into a program that was a joint musicology and women's studies, actually, was my minor. And I was there at the University of Louisville and the University of Kentucky. And then in 1990, I met a man, Dr. Arthur Harvey, who told me about the music medicine program he was starting at the University of Louisville Medical School. I had been at the music school. So now he said, you should come to the medical school. And he said, I am getting ready to go to the University of Hawaii, and I would like you to take over my job here at the University of Louisville School of Medicine as coordinator of music and medicine because you have a PhD now in musicology.
Nice.
So that's how I got to the medical school and started doing research and teaching medical students about the healing power of music and how they could use sound and music to de-stress and focus on their studies better.
Very nice. Love that story. So, what do you do these days, and who do you serve, and what do you do for them?
Well, this was all that happened about 1990. So in 1993 is when I started focusing on surgery and realizing that this was a totally underserved group of people. So I started trying to figure out how I could get music in an operating room because music therapists don't go into the operating room. They go into every other part of the hospital, but the OR is too small and too focused to have that. So I thought, what about preloaded headphones? And at that time, we didn't really barely had MP3 players at all. I mean, this was like
We had the
before.
Walkman back then.
Right, right, and that's what I had used. That's how I had the idea because I had surgery in 1993, and the surgeon said, "Just bring in your Walkman with headphones," and he
Yeah.
taped it to the operating room table. And it was definitely a wonderful thing, but I thought, what about preloaded headphones? Cordless, preferably, so they won't tangle with any of the other blood pressure cuffs or IV medication going on. And so that's how it started. In 2008, I got a US patent on this idea. And then just about 5 years later, I created five downloadable apps that have my proprietary music. I have five playlists that are classical, jazz, new age, lullabies, and memory care. So we cover the whole lifespan. There's something for everybody there. And they're downloadable from the App Store. Uh, and I will also put up a link later that takes you straight to the apps. That's probably the most accessible. But now for hospitals, we also have preloaded MP3 players that they can buy in bulk and actually give to the patient to take home after their surgery or chemotherapy or kidney dialysis, whatever procedure they might be having pain management now. We're doing all kinds of other applications in addition to surgery.
So the music types that you mentioned were classical, jazz, and there was two or three others.
New age, lullabies, and memory care. And when I say
Memory.
memory care, it's not just for like Alzheimer's patients or something, although they definitely like it, but it's music from the 1900s through the early 1950s that brings up memories for people that otherwise the today's music means nothing to them. They don't even think it's music.
Right, right. I mean, I listen to jazz and classical jazz, and I listen to classical music, but I don't know about new age. I don't know what I probably have heard it, but I don't know it by category. Like I listen to blues, classical jazz or jazz, and then classical music like Mozart and those guys.
Beethoven, Brahms,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Chopin. Well, that's what my classical playlist is. It's all the great composers, but it's short miniatures that engage rhythmic entrainment. And that's one of the keys of my method. My music is not about entertainment, it's about brain entrainment and what we call rhythmic entrainment. And it's so that when you go into surgery, your heart is beating pretty rapidly, usually because you have a lot of anxiety, and your breathing is short and shallow.
Hmm.
So when you put the headphones on or the earbuds, you hear music that is slow, steady, simple, texture, soothing, and that engages the body's rhythm and it slows down your heartbeat, slows down your breathing gets deeper,
Yeah.
and that way you need less anesthesia and you need less pain medication and you need less
Hmm.
anxiety medication.
Okay. Okay. So is that the problem that you solved then? So let me ask the question. I know you already touched on it, but so what exactly is the problem that you solve, and then how do you solve them?
Okay. The problems include things like people not having surgery because they have so much fear about going under anesthesia and not waking up. So they just say, no, nobody's going to cut on me. And so this allows patients to calm down and relax enough and understand when you have music, you won't need as much anesthesia. You won't need as much pain medication. So it helps people to get into the OR to start with. Then, once they're there, it begins to stabilize the body rhythms of breathing, heartbeat, blood pressure. All of those are pretty, they're really going fast and shallow, and we want people to breathe deeply, to relax. And when they have headphones on, this is another problem it solves. For years, doctors have been playing music in the OR. That's nothing new, but they were assuming that the music they were listening to either wouldn't be heard by the patient because they were under anesthesia, or that the patient would be okay with it. And then one day, a nurse came to me and said, Dr. Cash, I have to tell you, there is a surgeon at our hospital. And when people are about to have surgery, the music he's playing is Another One Bites the Dust by Queen.
I don't know what that is.
It's Another One Bites the Dust is a famous rock and roll song by the group called Queen. And the message is it's okay, another one bites the dust. Not something you want to hear when you're going into surgery. It's kind of
Oh,
rude. So,
it's kind of saying it's okay if you die. Is that what
uh,
it's saying?
my idea was if people have on headphones, they will have their own music coming into their brain through the eighth cranial nerve. The surgeon can play whatever he wants. If he wants to play rock and roll, if he wants to play dance party, go ahead. the patient will have their own music through headphones that's slow, steady, and engages rhythmic entrainment.
Great. So, can you give us an example of? I have so many questions about the whole process. Give us an example of a patient you work with, and then what were the effects before, during, and after your work with them?
Okay.
If you could give us like examples, I don't know if you could share like numbers about their heart rate or breathing or stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and I do have lots of video and written testimonials on my website. So
Okay.
you can go and see patients talking about their procedures. I've got physicians who say this should be a part of every operating room because what it does is really magical. But for example, one of the first people that used my headphones was a woman who had had 50 something surgeries. She had a
Wow.
bone condition where she broke bones very easily. So she was going in for hand surgery that day. And after the procedure, she said, Alice, this was unlike any surgery I ever had before because as I was going under the anesthesia, I was listening to this beautiful classical music. And then there was nothing for what seemed like just a matter of seconds. And the next thing I knew, that same beautiful music was coming back into my awareness and it was orienting to me. I knew that, oh, that's right. I'm in the hospital. I'm having surgery. Because sometimes people wake up and they're flailing because they're disoriented and they don't know why they're
Right.
tied to things and, see things they don't know where they are. So, using the music helps the patient to stay oriented. It reduced the amount of anesthesia. She said that she did not feel pain upon waking up. And later on, when the anesthesia begins to wear off and the pain medication begins to wear off, she said it was much less than she usually felt, nothing that she needed opioids for. And that's another problem that we are hoping to solve is the opioid crisis is so widespread and people who have surgery sometimes accidentally get hooked on opioids. So this is going to greatly decrease the chance of that if you're using music as part of the anesthesia.
Okay, so couple of questions on that. Do we have any stats on how much or what percentage of heart rate goes down or breathing goes down when they listen to their favorite music
The
or
the,
music we give them?
the first study that was done on our headphones was mainly looking at a decrease in opioid requirements.
Okay,
And I think it goes without saying that if you put headphones on somebody that has slow, steady music, their heart rate is going to slow down and entrain to
right.
that. And same with the music. So the opioid consumption was the most important thing to look at. And it did show a statistically significant decrease in the amount of opioid. This was men at the VA hospital here having abdominal surgery. But now we've got two more studies, one looking at patients in behavioral health uh, that tend to go to the nurses station. This is what they used to call psychiatry. They used to go to the nurses station and ask for anxiety medication or sleep medication, things like that. And so this study looked at whether or not handing them preloaded headphones to listen to rather than give them medication in between their regular doses would be as effective. And it was. So this was in
Interesting.
Phoenix. And then another study is being done right now in North Carolina with women having a female procedure that is painful, and they're giving these women headphones before they have to go into the procedure, through the procedure, and then as they wake up from it. And the results are very good so far.
So how do they manage if they have headphones on? How do they manage when the doctor or the team or the nurses need to talk to the patient, asking questions like if they feel this and that, and or if they're comfy and this and that? Do they just
Okay. Yeah, good question. There's a difference between general anesthesia when the patient is asleep and patients that are just being sedated. So if they're being sedated, they can still hear the doctor. And if necessary, the doctor will go and just lift one headphone gently and say, wiggle your toes or wiggle
yeah,
your
yeah, okay.
fingers. And so it's not a problem. They're not like the heavy Bose noise canceling headphones. These are lightweight. They block the doctor's music, but at the same time, they're putting the patient slow, steady, soothing music in. And if they need to ask a question, they can do that.
They can do that. So they don't put on those deafening type of headphones that you just don't hear nothing else.
No, no.
Okay, got it. And then what is this something that anybody could use when they're going into a surgery, like, or do they have to coordinate with their doctor and saying, hey, I'm going to put this on, I want you to reduce your opioid or anesthesia because I'm doing this, and then does the doctor have to agree with it, say?
Great question. That one of the first articles I wrote was how to talk to your doctor about using music during surgery. And this was like 15 years ago, and already it's so much more common. But yes, you need to talk to your doctor about it at the pre surgery visit. And my idea now, my marketing has changed. Initially, I was marketing primarily to the patient. Now I'm marketing primarily to the hospital. And and I'm when I write on LinkedIn, I'm writing to anesthesiologists and to surgeons to let them
Got
know
it.
about all the benefits and the research that's been done on this topic. So we now have a third product, the preloaded MP3 players, and that is so that all hospitals can stock those. They're very small, they don't take up a lot of room, and as I said, they can be branded for the hospital and taken home by the patient to
Very
continue
nice.
their recovery. Yeah. So, but the easiest is downloading the app. And that's what we are really trying to get hospitals to license our five playlists and then to get patients just to go to the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, and download our app.
Download the app.
And you just type in Serenity Solutions, and that will lead you to our five apps, and you can hear samples, and it also has all kind of information. I've got 400 blog posts about music and surgery, and those are accessible through the app. So less than $10, you get all of that.
Very nice. So what are the alternatives to what you do, and what is the main difference between what you do and they do?
They meaning the medical staff.
I
uh,
mean, the alternatives to this solution
Yeah.
in general.
Well, the alternative is not to have any music and to hope that the doctor will play something that is soothing and likable to the patient. And sometimes they'll ask and sometimes they don't. But, another problem, Mustafa, is that people want to just think, oh, I'll put on Spotify. We'll just play Spotify in the OR. That's illegal, and people don't realize that. You are supposed to have a healthcare license. If you're going to play Spotify in a hospital, whether it's the MRI or the chemo or the kidney dialysis, you have to have a medical facility license for Spotify. And it's out there, but people don't know it. And they're just using their own personal subscription, and they're going to start enforcing that soon, probably. That
Oh,
started.
interesting. So, okay.
Yeah,
So
people
you
don't
can't
know
just grab
that.
your own,
I mean,
so
now
you have to
you
have
can
it.
take, if you have headphones that are programmable, um, you can take your own Spotify playlist in there as long as you clear it with the doctor first. But it's the hospital can't do that and charge you. I mean, they're not charging specifically for the music, but that's part of the whole procedure, and Spotify wants to get their cut.
Got it. So they want like a commercial license
Exactly.
to play their
Yes.
music in there. Very interesting.
But if you use our
Very
music,
interesting.
we own the license
Hmm.
to that. I mean, this is all not original, but it's curated by me and licensed by me if necessary. Like my jazz playlist, I actually commissioned a local jazz trio who is world famous to write a playlist for me for surgery that had the tempo of the healthy resting heartbeat.
Um, do you write your own
I
music,
have.
or have you
I
written your
have,
own
but
music
none of that is
since you
used in the surgery playlist. Yeah, as I said, the classical music
got it?
is Mozart, Chopin, classical composers that have written miniature 2 to 3 minute pieces that have the tempo of the healthy resting heartbeat and are sometimes familiar. But one of the things I realized when I was researching this was people have such strong associations with specific pieces of music. You put on a piece of music and it brings back a flood of memories. So I decided it would be best to choose music that was lesser known, just in case. Let's say you know the Moonlight Sonata or Clair de Lune. If you took piano and you played that in the eighth grade and you had a memory slip on the recital,
Hmm.
you don't want to be hearing that as you're wheeled into surgery because you have a negative association with that. So these are
Right.
famous composers, but
Very
not
interesting.
famous pieces.
Love it. Love it. Very, very unique and interesting idea about like my
Oh,
wife. We just had a
congratulations.
baby recently, and she went through a C-section, and I didn't even think about having her listen to music. Well, I mean, we were both very, we were both nervous, and there was fear, and then I
Well,
didn't even think about that.
yeah,
So it's
let me
very
say
interesting.
one thing
It's
about that. My oldest daughter has had 3 C-sections. And the first time when
uh
she
huh.
didn't know too far in advance, but she found out like maybe 2 weeks in advance, I said, "Julie, you've got to use my headphones." So she took the headphones to the hospital in Boston, and the doctor said, "Sure, go ahead." And I said, "Now put them on as soon as you get there. Don't wait till you're in the OR. Put them on." And after the procedure, she said, "I am so glad I had your headphones, Mom," because she said they had all the women lined up that were getting ready to have C-sections with just a curtain between each one. And each one had their husband in there with them, and some of the women were like fussing at their husbands about the car seat wasn't ready yet, and it's your fault we're here today. And she said if I
Blah
had to
blah blah
listen
blah.
to that, it
I
would
think
have
you
made
got it.
my anxiety 10 times worse.
I think you have a massive market there, Alice. I mean, talking to women who are delivering, and it's very easy to target and advertise to women that are delivering
Yes.
and or are pregnant, and convincing women. I think convincing women who are delivering and talking to them and say, hey, if you listen to this, you're going to be relaxed and
Yes.
have an easier delivery compared to compared to like convincing the doctor.
Yeah, and that's where the
I
women can
think.
just download the app. I mean, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, go
Right.
download that
Right.
Lullaby CD or the Lullaby app, the classical app or the jazz app if you like that. It's $10. And then the hospital needs
Yep.
to be
It's
stocking the
10 bucks.
MP3 players and the headphones for patients.
Yep. Love it. Great idea. We're gonna get the links to your apps. And what well, while we're at it, what are the names of your apps for people, and is it
Yes,
available on both
Google
on Apple
Play Store.
and
Yes, it's
Google?
available on both. And I have a link. I can give you a link that I recommend to people, which is my website, surgicalserenitySolutions.com/calm, CALM. That will take you straight to my 5 apps. You have a sample of each one, and then there's a link to the Apple App Store if that's what you have, or the Google Play Store. So,
Surgical Serenity Solutions.com
calm,
forward
yes,
slash calm.
CALM.
Okay, let me see if
That'd
I
be
can pull
great.
it right up on my end, and then take a look. Love it. Alice, give us some of the milestones that you've achieved over the years along the way with what you're
Well,
doing.
gosh, I mean, first of all, getting that job at the University of Louisville School of Medicine was the huge, unexpected first step. I mean, I was planning to be a college piano teacher and music history, and I had no idea that music medicine lay ahead of me. But once I stepped into it, I loved it. And so the first big milestone, I suppose, was having the idea that music and surgery was an underserved population. And basically, there was no product for putting music into surgery. And to this moment, there still isn't. I mean, technically, I have no competition, which is pretty unusual. But then 2005, I went to an NSA conference and it was about innovation, product innovation. And that's where I had the idea to create headphones that were preloaded already with the music, the calm soothing music that could be given to the patient when they arrive at the hospital. So that was a big milestone, 2005. 2008 is when I got the patent. I got a US patent on the process of providing music for the patient for the purpose of decreasing anesthesia, pain medication, and anxiety medication. And in 2009, I began selling my first version of the preloaded headphones. And I had sales from around the world right away. My first sale was from Japan. I'll never forget that. That was pretty exciting, learning how to ship
Oh yeah.
things to other countries. Because basically, still, I consider myself a musician and I'm also a therapist, a psychotherapist. So I've learned a lot about business and marketing and all of that, but it's not original.
Love it. Let me do a screen share and show people what that page looks like, so they could get a feel for um, what they're going to see. So if you go to surgicalserenitysolutions.com/calm, you're going to land on this page, and there's sample music for the different types of music that you can listen to. So Alice, tell us what these icons are and what they mean. Is it
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
different
yeah.
app
I
for
mean,
each of
can
them,
you
or what's
zoom
the
in just a
deal
little
there?
bit? Yeah, okay. So
Uh,
the first one is the classical
okay.
playlist, the blue, the purple is the jazz
Yep.
playlist, green is new age,
Yep.
pink is
Mm-hmm.
lullabies, and lavender is the memory care. So that's the Android version and the
Yep.
Apple version. And if you want to try to hit the classical play, maybe we could hear just a little bit of that playlist. Okay.
Tell me if you can hear it. Is it? I don't know if my
I
system is
can hear
sharing the
it, but
sound.
it's broken up a
I
little
can
bit.
hear it, but
Or try the
let me turn
jazz.
up
The
the
jazz might
the
be
radio.
easier.
Very nice. That's calming. Let me try New Age. Well, that's kind of stuff I listen to all the time anyway. When I'm driving around,
See, I can see your head is in training to the beat of the music. And we all do that automatically. You know,
yes,
you don't have to think about it. You just start keeping time. And that's what slows down your heart rate, slows down your breathing, and relaxes you naturally.
right, right. Well, I am also I love music, and so I love what I'm seeing here. So again, go to again Serenity Surgical Serenity Solutions.com/calm. You'll see a list of different apps and different types of music that you can get to listen to, and then pick and choose the ones you like. Now, Alice, what are some of the challenges that you have faced over the years with
I
what
would
you
say
do?
the number one challenge is that people don't know that this exists. What is it? People say the status quo is my biggest challenge because hospitals have been doing anesthesia and surgery pretty much the same way for at least 25 or 30 years. And they don't know that this is even an option and how powerful it is, how simple it is, and how cost effective it is. So that's one of the big things that I feel like I do on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on Twitter, Medium, all the places where I post, and my YouTube channel is to educate people about how easy it is to add music to your surgery to decrease anxiety and pain perception, and hopefully the amount of medication you're going to need. And the less medication you need, the faster you recover and get back to your life.
For sure. Oh yeah, all the anesthesia that they put. Like my wife was numb from waist down.
Exactly.
She was frozen from waist down, and it was in her body. It takes a
It
few days for
does,
it
if
to get
not
out of your
longer.
body, right? That's right.
No, it's not.
it's
It's
not a great
weird.
feeling. And what are some of the side effects of those medications that people
Well,
don't
I
know much
mean,
about?
the worst thing is the opioids that have an addictive quality, and that the manufacturers, when they first put them out, said, "Oh no, these aren't addictive." And then they found out they're horribly addictive. So the less opioid, I mean, you don't even have to have opioids. They're pain relievers that are not opioid. And I recommend taking the childbirth classes so you learn how to do breathing and use music along with your labor. That's what I did for all three of my children, because the thought of having a needle in my back was just too much.
Yeah, yeah, it is a lot. Um, so Alice, what's holding you and your
I
business
think
back these days?
probably lack of awareness of my business and my product. People just don't know what's out there. And then also, they think that maybe this is the same thing as music therapy, and it's not. This is music medicine, which can be prescribed by the doctor. The doctor can say at the pre surgical visit, go download this playlist and bring your iPhone in. And they let you take your iPhone into surgery at most hospitals, or your, Android. And so getting the word out, and then having hospitals go ahead and order, 1,000 of the MP3 players, brand them for their hospital, like Cleveland Clinic or Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, and give them to every patient that comes through. And it's marketing as well as music medicine.
Love it, love it. Um, are there some surgery rooms or hospitals that won't allow a phone in there that would say like it
Well,
would
there are
interfere with our
some of the
system and stuff?
older hospitals or doctors, and not always. I mean, there are probably young ones too. But there, every now and then, somebody will say, "Oh no, you can't bring anything from home in there." But when that's why I wrote that article called "How to Talk to Your Doctor About Using Music in Surgery," and it's one of the freebies on my website.
Right,
Um, it tells you all the research that's been done that documents. There was a huge study that came out in the National Institute of Health in 2015 about, they looked at something like 700 studies on music and surgery, and they said this is one of the most powerful, almost free interventions that you can give your patients, and every operating room and
that's
recovery
right.
room should be using it. Excuse me.
Bless you, bless you. Love the idea, love the idea. And so, do you recommend people? Is it just during the surgery that they need to listen to, or is
Before,
it
during, and
before,
after,
during, and
what we
after?
call the perioperative period. Because when you first arrive at the hospital and your heart is beating and your breathing is
Yeah, if
right,
you're
right.
driving there,
So
you feel
the
like
second you get to the waiting room, put those headphones on or your iPhone and earbuds. That's when you want it as, and because a lot of times they'll hook you up to an IV immediately and start giving you Valium or Xanax. And those are anxiety medications that also
right.
have a potentially addictive properties. And so for people who know they have addictive
Very interesting.
tendencies and personalities, just use the music. You don't really need that at all. I mean, Don Campbell, the man that wrote the Mozart Effect, used to say that what was it, 30 minutes of Mozart was equal to 5 milligrams of Valium. That's what he
Is it?
said. Now, I've never been able to find the exact study that documents that, but I think many people believe if you listen to slow, soothing music, which I have curated for you already, for 30 minutes, it will be equivalent to 5 milligrams of Valium. I mean, and you're
You will see
leaning
the
back on your
effect.
pillow with your eyes closed, and you go into a sonic cocoon. And it's a healing, safe
Yeah,
place.
love it. Um, Alice,
I
are you much of
am.
a reader
I am.
yourself? Give us two of your favorite
Oh,
books of all
wow.
time.
That's not much pressure. Well, there's a recent book by Daniel Levitin. I don't know that you've heard of him. Daniel Levitin, Levitin. This is Your Brain on Music. And he also wrote more recently The World in Five Songs, I think is the name of it. Anything by him is wonderful. And Renee Fleming has recently written a book about music and medicine. I don't remember the exact name, but if you Google Renee Fleming, music and medicine, it'll come up. And then one of my early mentors, Don Campbell, wrote the book that became very famous called The Mozart Effect.
Campbell, the Mozart effect. Effect. Love it. Perfect. Alice, what's one piece of advice that made a big impact on your business or life?
One of the biggest is just a quote I read about never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. And that's what I have really had to say to myself some days because I mean, there are days when people, even in my own family, have said, why don't you just give up on these headphones? You know, you're spending way too much time on headphones. And I just have to say, no, no, this is a idea that I believe was God given, put into my brain in 2005 at this conference I went to. And everybody says, Alice, this is a fantastic idea. I'm surprised nobody else has ever done this. So I feel like it's my mission to get out the word about music and surgery can be so powerful and help you to get through in a
Hmm.
safer, calmer way. And that's why my book I want to give everybody today on music and surgery as a free download today and tomorrow. It's going to be free on Kindle. And you don't have to have a Kindle, you just download the free Kindle app and then you can get my book about music and surgery, which is called Having Surgery Using Music to Decrease Anxiety and Pain Perception. And it's
Love it.
free until tomorrow at midnight. I hope everybody will get it.
Absolutely. So the link is on if you're watching or listening on our channels or on my channels on Facebook or LinkedIn. It is in the comments of the show, so take a look. And so, Alice, give us the book's name. So if they don't see the link, they could just search it up on Amazon.
Well, one of the things that I was suggested is go to Amazon and then search for Dr. Alice H. Cash.
There
That
you
might
go.
be a faster way to get to it.
Yes.
But the exact name of the book is Having Surgery question mark using music to decrease anxiety and pain perception. It's kind of a long title, but
Yes.
that's what it
Well,
covers.
gang, if you're watching or listening, go to Amazon, search for Dr. Alice H. Cash, and the title of the book starts with Having Surgery question mark. That's the book you want to get. It's free until tomorrow. So get it before it's
Midnight
back
tomorrow.
for yes. Alice, is there any question or any I question that you have asked or idea that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to talk about?
I think this was pretty comprehensive. I'm really glad that you mentioned the labor and delivery and C-section. And I would say it's also being used in ketamine infusions, pain management, kidney dialysis, chemotherapy, labor and delivery, and then in surgery, there with us baby boomers, we're having a lot of joint replacements, knee replacements, hip
Yeah.
replacements, shoulder replacements, ankle
Yep.
replacements, and that is a very powerful place to use it because when you have a joint replacement surgery, there is hammering, sawing, and drilling.
Yes.
You don't need to hear that. You don't
Yes.
need to be
You
freaked
know.
out by those kinds of sounds. So you have your headphones on, listening to my slow, soothing music. And in
Right.
training,
I mean, any type of open surgery. I mean, with heart, brain surgery, any knee replace, like, any type of surgery, you put that on,
well, I don't
and
know about brain surgery. Now that
no,
could be
why
tricky
not?
because you have to have headphones on. Well, I guess you can use the earbuds if they're
Yeah,
opening up your cranium.
I think I heard something that's some back of my mind. Somebody was either praying meditating or listening to music with an open brain surgery, and it helped them calm down. And have you heard
Okay.
anything like that?
What I've heard about is people who are musicians having brain surgery, and one of the things they ask the patient to do is to play their
Playing
instrument.
their violin. Yeah, I seen that. I think that was the thing.
Yeah,
I
to
saw a
make
video. The
sure
guy
that
was
they're not.
playing violin.
Yes, violin, guitar, singing, you can
Yeah,
do all of that.
very interesting.
Yeah,
But I
they
think on any type of surgery before, I mean, for me, if I get in the morning of, as soon as I get in the car, drive into the hospital, there's the heart pounding, and there
right.
is all sorts of
Anxiety.
uh, anxiety, and then there's the I think the what I would call poisons the body releases when you're in anxiety and all that. So it's
Yes.
not great. But if you could listen to your music and calm down and have a better experience, that I mean, why not? It doesn't hurt and it doesn't cost a lot.
Exactly. That's our whole mission.
Love it. Where can listeners find you and reach out to you?
Well, my website is surgicalserenitysolutions.com. Or, I mean, you can just Google my name. If you Google Dr. Alice H. Cash, hundreds and hundreds of ways to contact me will be there. Facebook, all of it. But if a hospital is interested in ordering MP3 players or licensing our playlist or getting headphones, you can go to the website and then slash contact us, contact dash us, and you'll
Hmm.
get a form to fill out saying what your need is, and then we'll talk and make it happen for you.
Fantastic. So the website is surgicalserenitysolutions.com.
Yes,
And if you go there, there are ways to contact Dr. Alice. Reach out
yes,
whether you want it for yourself, for a loved one. If someone around you is having a surgery, I would highly recommend you get that app and put it on. I mean, it doesn't hurt for
thank
someone to calm their breathing down, calm their heart down, and reduce the anxiety so they have an easier, smoother experience and during the operation and the surgery, which is good. Any last words that you want to say or mention, Alice, before we wrap up?
I would just say on the website, you can also see lots of research studies. If your doctor is skeptical in any way, you can lead them to the New England Journal of Medicine and the National Institute of Health, all these very reputable sites that have conducted research on music with surgery and some with our product. And then there are a lot of testimonials that are very interesting and fun from patients who used it for all kinds of surgeries. And one guy is literally just waking up from anesthesia, and his wife puts the mic in front of his mouth and says, "Tell us how the music was, Owen. What was your experience?" And he's just like, "Oh, that was beautiful. I will never have surgery with that music again."
Nice, nice. That is amazing. Yeah, if I don't think after this I would have a surgery without a music. Hopefully, I won't have a surgery, but if
Right.
I do, I won't have it without a music. Beautiful. Thank you, Alice. I really appreciate you showing up, sharing your expertise and knowledge. Gang, if you're watching or listening, reach out to Dr. Alice, get a hold of her apps, visit her website to see the samples of her music and the apps. Go to surgicalserenitysolutions.com/calm, and you'll see a list of the types of music and the apps that are available. And then we'll go from there. If you know someone that could benefit from the solution Dr. Alice is offering, share the episode with them, grab the link, send it to them. If you have a friend or a girlfriend that is delivering a baby, somebody is having a surgery coming up soon of any kind, men, women, children, send it to them, have them tap into this almost free resource to have a better experience with their surgery. My name is Mustafa Hosseini. You've been watching and listening to the Executive Hub Show. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on our next episode. Bye now.
Bye bye.